The wind blew quietly across the flat fields of a lonely farming planet called Harvest 3. It was a small world. Far from the busy space routes, only a few human settlers lived here, growing crops and fixing old machines. One of them was a man named Jack Rayner. He was a quiet human, strong but calm. He had a small repair shop near the edge of town. People came to him when their machines broke down. He didn't talk much. He just fixed things, took payment, and went back to his tools. One evening after sunset, Jack was walking back home through the dusty fields. His tool bag hung from his shoulder. The sky was turning dark purple, and the moons had just started to rise. That's when he saw a strange flash in the sky. A small object was falling. Fast. It had a fire trail behind it. Satellite debris? Jack muttered. But it wasn't falling like junk. It was slowing down, trying to land. It crashed hard about a kilometer away, near the hills behind his workshop. There was no explosion, just a loud boom and a shaking thud. Jack didn't wait. Ran back, grabbed his old plasma rifle, a flashlight, and his scanner. Something told him this was no normal crash. He reached the crash site in 15 minutes. The object had hit the ground and dug deep into the soft dirt. Smoke rose into the night air. The shape was clear. Now it was a small escape pod, maybe. Alien? Maybe military? Jack's scanner beeped. 2 life signs inside. 1 adult, 1 small. Weak vitals. Jack walked closer, hands ready. The hatch on the pod was half melted. He forced it open with a crowbar. Inside, he found her. She wasn't human. She had soft brown-green skin, large black eyes, and 2 antennae that drooped weakly from her forehead. She wore a torn silver suit, and her arms looked like they were burned. She was holding a child, a very small girl, thin, quiet, and pale. The woman looked up at Jack, breathing fast. Her mouth opened. Her voice was rough, but her English was clear. "Please. Just feed my daughter, human," she whispered. "I'll stay quiet. I'll cook. I'll work for you. Just don't let her die." She didn't beg for herself. She begged for the child. Jack stared. He had fought aliens before, and humans had. There had been a terrible war just 5 years ago between Earth and many alien species. But this one? She was no soldier. She was broken, scared, starving, and the child. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Jack sighed. "All right, come with me." He helped her out of the pod. She couldn't walk well. Her legs were shaking. He picked up. The child wrapped her in his coat and led them both back to his workshop. Jack had an old storage room in the barn behind his repair shed. He cleaned it quickly, laid down some blankets, and brought food, simple human food, bread, fruit paste. In warm water, the woman fed the child first. Her hands were shaking, her eyes full of fear and love. The girl ate slowly, her large dark eyes staring up at Jack. "What's your name?" Jack asked softly. The woman looked at him, surprised. Then she said, "Solari." Jack pointed at the child and her. "Vina," she replied, her voice trembling. He nodded. "I'm Jack." That night, Jack sat alone in his room, staring at the ceiling. What had he done? Harboring an alien, especially one from a species humans had once fought, was illegal. The town would not forgive him. There were patrol drones. People talked too much. And yet, he had seen Solari's face. She didn't look like an enemy. She looked like a mother. In the morning, Jack brought more food and some basic medical supplies. Solari had bandaged herself, but she didn't understand human medicine. Jack helped clean her wounds. She winced, but didn't complain. "You were in the war?" Jack asked quietly. Solari shook her head. "No. We were refugees. Our ship was attacked. I escaped in the pod. Others didn't make it." Jack studied her face. He could tell she was telling the truth. He left them in the barn and went to town. He bought food extra for guests. Nobody asked questions. But his neighbor, Old Man Crane, gave him a long look. "You expecting visitors, Rayner?" he asked. Jack just grunted. "Cousins from another farm," Crane laughed. "Didn't know you had family left?" Jack didn't answer. Days passed, Solari healed slowly. She kept her promise. She stayed quiet. She cleaned his tools, cooked meals that smelled different but tasted amazing. She used strange spices from her small belt pouch. Jack had never eaten better. Vina started walking around the barn laughing. Softly, she was still shy, but smiled more. Jack brought her small toys, books, and puzzles. One day she called him Doc, quite dad, but close. Solari heard it. She looked away, embarrassed. I can tell her not to call you that, she said quietly. Jack shook his head. No, it's fine. One evening, Jack stood on his porch, looking at the sky. Solari walked up beside him wearing an old human cloak he gave her. Why did you help us? She asked. Jack didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, You didn't ask for much. Just food for your kid, that was enough. Solari looked at him with wide eyes. In her world, kindness like that had long disappeared. She said nothing more. But she stood close to him, silently. But trouble was coming. One of the town's security drones had flown past the barn 2 days ago. Jack noticed a red light flashing on it. It usually meant it had recorded something strange. And today, in the market, Jack heard a man talking to the sheriff. Something moved near the hill farms, the man said. Maybe a Xeno. Jack kept walking, pretending not to hear. But deep down he knew the peaceful days were almost over. He went home, walked into the barn and looked at Solari and Vina. We might have to move you soon, he said. Solari stood. Up straight, I can go. Just give her food. Hide her if I can't. Jack shook his head. No, we all go. Together. Life on Harvest 3 moved slowly, but danger was starting to grow. Jack Rayner tried to act normal. He still went to the town market every 2 or 3 days. He still repaired broken tools and small machines for the local farmers. But now, he also had 2 secrets hidden in the barn behind his repair shop. Solari and her daughter Vina. No one in town knew. But Jack felt the pressure building. Inside the barn, Solari worked quietly every day. Her wounds were healing fast thanks to a mix of alien medicine and Jack's supplies. She kept herself busy cleaning, cooking, and even helping Jack fix machines. Jack was surprised by how fast she learned. He showed her how to fix a broken irrigation motor one afternoon, and by the next day, she fixed another one all by herself. You're good, Jack said, watching her work. Solari smiled softly. My people were builders before the war. Built homes, ships, even cities in the trees. Jack nodded. Guess it makes sense. Solari also cooked with whatever ingredients Jack brought. She made strange but tasty meals. She used earth vegetables and her own alien herbs. She had carefully kept hidden in her silver belt pouch. The food had a rich, earthy smell. Jack never asked what she used. He just ate and said, Good.
Ow!
Solari looked proud when he said. That meanwhile, little Vina grew stronger every day. At first, she hid behind boxes and refused to speak. But Jack was patient. He brought her soft blankets, books with pictures, and even a small ball. Slowly, she started to open up. One morning, Jack walked into the barn and saw Vina stacking metal cans like blocks. When she noticed him, she froze. Jack smiled and crouched beside her. Want help? Vina nodded slowly. That afternoon, she laughed for the first time. It was a soft, buzzing laugh, like the sound of a tiny flute. Solari heard it and covered her mouth. She was crying. Jack had moved some old furniture into the barn's back room, gave Solari and Vina a proper bed, soft lights, and a heater. It wasn't much, but it was safe and warm. He also installed a small scanner jammer, kept the barn hidden from low-level patrol drones, but even with all his efforts, Jack knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. One night, Celery sat on the porch with Jack after dinner. The moons were rising, and the wind was cool. You're risking everything. For us, she said. Why? Jack didn't look at her. He stared at the stars. I've seen war. I've seen people starve. Doesn't matter if they're human or not. He paused, then added, nobody should have to beg just to feed their kid. Solari looked at him. She wanted to say thank you, but the words didn't feel strong enough. Instead, she simply said, You're not like other humans I've met. Jack shrugged. That's probably a good thing. But peace doesn't last. A week later, Jack was returning from town when he noticed something. A strange ship was parked near the old water tower. Sleek, black, and sharp-edged. Didn't belong to any local farmer. Jack narrowed his eyes. Hunter. He had seen their kind before. They were allowed to work in the outer colonies. They hunted xeno-criminals, even refugees. Some did it for justice. Most did it for money. This one was here for something. Or someone. Jack rushed home and found Solari fixing a broken drone wing in the barn. "Pack what you need," Jack said quickly. Solari froze. "Why? What happened?" "Bounty hunter. He's in town. Probably got a signal from the crash site. Maybe even from a patrol drone." Solari grabbed Vina and held her close. "We can run," she said. "We've done it before." Jack shook his head. "Not yet. I'll hide you deeper. There's a tunnel under the barn. Used to be a smuggler's stash." He opened a hidden trapdoor in the floor. Below was a small room with supplies, blankets, and a small power cell. "Stay there until I call you." Solari hesitated. "What about you?" Jack smiled slightly. "I'm just a quiet mechanic, remember? I'll play dumb." The next day, the bounty hunter came to Jack's workshop. He was tall, wore black armor, and had a strange red glowing eye implant. His voice was smooth and cold. "Jack Rayner," he said. "You're listed as a local fixer, that right?" Jack nodded. "That's me. I'm looking for something. Might have landed nearby." "You seen anything fall from the sky lately?" Jack kept his face blank. "Meteor showers all the time. Nothing special." The hunter stared at him for a long time and said, "Mind if I take a look around?" Jack shrugged. "Sure, but I charge double if you break anything." The hunter walked through the workshop, scanning with a wrist device. Red lights blinked. Jack watched him carefully. He walked near the barn. "You use this old place?" the hunter asked. "Storage," Jack replied. "Mostly junk." The hunter looked at the barn door, then turned away. "Let me know if you see anything strange," he said, handing Jack a small card. "There's a reward." Jack nodded. "I'll keep it in mind." The hunter walked off, but Jack knew one thing: he wasn't done yet. That night, Jack sat in the barn with Solari and Vina. "He doesn't believe me," Jack said. "He'll be back." Solari looked afraid. "He'll kill us," Jack said firmly. "Not if I stop him first." Solari looked at him with wide eyes. "What will you do?" Jack stood up and walked to the back of the barn. He pulled a tarp off an old crate. Inside were weapons. It's not farming tools, military gear. From the war, plasma traps, EMP mines, an old combat suit. "I used to be more than a mechanic," Jack said quietly. "Now it's time I remembered that." Ari looked at the weapons, then at Jack. She reached out and touched his hand. "Thank you." Jack nodded. "I told you. You're not alone anymore." That night, he set up traps around the farm. He wired sensors to alert him if anything crossed the perimeter. He armed the EMP mines and buried them near the front gate. Solari helped him. She moved fast, understanding his signals even without words. By morning, they were ready, Jack knew. One thing for sure: if the hunter came back, this time, he wouldn't leave so easily. The sun was still low when Jack Rayner heard the soft beeping sound from the small alert panel inside his home. Someone had entered the outer field. He stood up quickly, grabbing his old combat vest and a small pulse rifle. He looked out the window. With a pair of binoculars, it was the bounty hunter alone, walking carefully, scanning the ground. Jack muttered, "He's back." The barn Solari was already awake. She had heard the alert too. Vina was still sleeping, wrapped in soft blankets. Jack walked in, calm but serious. "He's coming. You two, go into the tunnel. Stay there, no matter what." Solari nodded. "And you?" Jack smiled slightly. "I'm going to make sure he regrets ever landing here." Jack walked outside and met the bounty hunter at the gate. "Back again?" Jack asked, pretending to be annoyed. "Thought you were done sniffing around?" The hunter gave a cold smile. Something in my scans was odd. Power readings, movement, faint alien traces. Jack shrugged. Maybe my old tech's leaking again. You want to fix it? The hunter didn't laugh. He stepped forward, scanning again. Suddenly, the scanner let out a soft beep. The hunter's eye implant glowed red. There's something here. Before Jack could reply, the ground under the hunter's boots flashed bright blue. EMP trap activated. The hunter shouted, his armor system shutting down. His scanner fried, his weapons jammed. Jack raised his pulse rifle and shouted that was your first and last warning? The hunter jumped back, pulling a backup blaster from his belt and firing. Jack dove behind a crate. The shot burned the wooden frame into ash dot. Another shot missed Jack by inches. He rolled and fired back, hitting the hunter's shoulder. Sparks flew. The hunter growled and fell. Jack rushed him, kicking the blaster out of his hand and pointing the pulse rifle at his head. You step foot on my land again, Jack said in a low voice. I'll bury you in it. The hunter coughed, smiled coldly, and said, You're hiding them. I know it now. Jack didn't answer. The hunter looked up, eyes burning. This isn't over. Jack stunned him with a short electric pulse and dragged him outside the gate. Then he set his drone to watch him. Back in the barn, Celery was standing with Vina in her arms, watching. He won't stop, she said softly. Jack nodded. I know, that's why we're leaving. Over the next few days, Jack and Celery worked fast. They cleared out the old tunnel, connected it to a hidden exit near the cliffs, and started building a new escape ship. Jack had pieces of old hulls, engines, and energy cores from years of work. Celery added her alien tech, making it stronger, faster, and harder to track. It was slow work, but they didn't stop. Vina helped too, in small ways. She held lights, carried tools, and tried to copy what the adults did. She even painted a little. Symbol on the ship's hull, a human hand holding a Valari claw. It made Jack smile. One night, Celery sat with Jack on the roof of the barn. The stars above were bright, and the breeze was soft. I never thought we'd make it this far, she said. Jack looked up. Neither did I. You saved us, she said, looking at him. You could have turned us in, but you didn't. Shook his head. You didn't deserve that. You just wanted your daughter safe. That's all I needed to know. Celery was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, What about you, Jack? You have a family? He shook his head. Not anymore. War took them. Just me now. Celery placed a hand on his. Not anymore. Jack looked at her, surprised. But he didn't pull away, but time ran out faster than they hoped. 2 days later, a signal reached the colony. A new ship was coming galactic. Patrol? Someone had reported alien activity. Maybe the bounty hunter? Maybe someone else. Jack's face hardened. We launch tomorrow. Celery nodded, but they weren't fast enough. That night, Jack's sensors picked up 3 armored patrol ships, landing just 5 kilometers away. He ran into the barn. We don't have a choice. Fly now. But the ship's not ready, Celery cried. Hey, no weapons, no shield. Just engines, Jack said. That's all we need. They worked through the night. Jack installed the last core piece, while Celery charged the reactor. Vina sat quietly in the cockpit, holding a small photo Jack had printed of him, Celery and her. It was a blurry photo, but to her it was home. By early morning, dust clouds rose in the distance. Jack saw it through his scope patrol troops in armored walkers moving toward the farm. We go now. Jack helped Celery and Vina into the ship. He closed the hatch and started the engines. The ship hummed, lights flickering, power flowing through the hull. Suddenly, gunfire echoed from outside. Drones were already in the sky, scanning and firing at the barn. Jack ran to the controls. Hang on, hit the launch button. The ship roared, engines firing hot and loud. It lifted off the ground just as explosions ripped through the barn. Behind them, drones followed, but the new ship was fast. Very fast. Jack pushed it higher, through the clouds, past the atmosphere. Laser beams shot past the hull. One hit the back fin butt it held, then finally opened space. Jack leaned back, breathing hard. We made it. Solari smiled. We're free. Vina looked out the window and whispered, stars. Jack laughed for the first time in a long while, but the danger wasn't over yet. From the ship's scanner, Solari saw something they're following. 3 patrol ships, fast class. We won't outrun them for long. Jack checked the fuel. We've got maybe 10 minutes before they catch us. Solari looked down. Then she reached into her belt pouch and pulled out a small, glowing cube. What is that? Jack asked. It's Valari tech, she said. Old forbidden, but powerful. She placed it into the ship's energy core. The lights around them turned blue. What did you just do? Jack asked. Solari looked at him. I gave the ship a voice. Jack blinked. A what? Before she could answer, the ship's system spoke. New destination set. Warp path calculated. Gauging blink drive. Jack stared. We don't have a warp drive. Solari smiled. We do now. In a flash of white-blue light, the ship vanished. The patrol ships lost the signal, and in deep space. Far away from Harvest 3, the small craft reappeared near a quiet moon with rings of crystal ice. Jack, Solari and Vina sat in silence. No one spoke. Then Vina reached over and grabbed both their hands. They looked at. She smiled. They smiled back. They had nothing else but now. They had each other. Jack sat in the ship's cockpit, the cold glow of the control panels casting soft light over his tired face. Outside the window, the strange moon floated silently in space, its glittering rings sparkling like stars. Beside him, Solari carefully checked the ship's systems. She was smaller than Jack, but moved with a quiet strength that surprised him. Vina, their small daughter, sat curled up between them, clutching a worn stuffed toy that Jack had found in an old Earth market. They had escaped the bounty hunter and the Galactic Patrol. But the danger was not over. Jack knew this in his bones. It's not safe here, Jack said, breaking the silence. I'll find us. They always do. Solari nodded slowly. We need to be ready. If they come, we fight. Jack looked at her, then at Vina. I don't want to fight anymore. I want peace for all of us. Solari gave him a sad smile. Peace is a dream for some. The quiet did not last long. A sudden alarm blared through the ship. Red lights flashed. Contact. Solari shouted, rushing to the scanner. 3 fast ships appeared on the radar, closing in quickly. The Galactic Patrol had tracked them through the blink drive jump. Jack grabbed the controls. They want us. Solari nodded, her hands moving quickly over the ship's console. We have no weapons, but I can try to use stealth tech. The ship's hull shimmered slightly, blending with the dark space around them. The first patrol. Ship fired bright beams of energy cut through the darkness. Jack twisted the ship sharply, dodging most of the fire, but one blast hit the side of the ship, sending a shower of sparks across the cockpit. Hull damage, Jack said through gritted teeth. We're not built for this kind of fight. Solari's eyes burned with determination. She tapped a sequence on the control panel. The ship's lights blinked, and a faint humming filled the air. Stealth shield is active. It will hide us. For a few minutes, Jack smiled faintly. Good. Use that time. The 3 patrol ships slowed, scanning for the hidden vessel. Jack took a deep breath. We can't outrun them forever. We need a plan. Solari's antennae twitched. There is a place nearby, an old asteroid field with sharp rocks and mines. They won't risk following us there. Jack nodded. Let's try it. Dove toward the asteroid field. Jagged rocks floated in slow motion, glowing with strange energy. It was a dangerous place, but Jack trusted Solari's instincts. The patrol ships followed, firing as they went. The ship weaved and twisted between the rocks, dodging fire and crashing debris. One patrol ship was hit by an exploding mine. It spiraled out of control and vanished into the darkness. The other 2 kept chasing. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Beams struck the engine core. Engine failing? Jack shouted. Can't hold much longer. Solari gritted her teeth. There is a backup system. It's old, but it might work. Jack looked at her. Do it. Celery pressed a hidden button. The ship's engines hummed louder, glowing blue. The backup system kicked in, giving them a sudden burst of speed. They shot through the field, finally leaving the dangerous rocks behind. But the battle was far from over. The patrol ships regrouped, prepared for another attack. Jack knew they were Utamic. He turned to Solari. We have to land. We can't keep running. Solari nodded. There is a hidden base on the nearby moon. It belongs to my people, abandoned, but still usable. Jack smiled. Lead the way. The ship descended slowly onto the moon's surface. Craters and icy plains stretched out beneath them. The base was a small complex built into a rocky cliff, covered by snow and ice. Jack opened the hatch and stepped. Outside, the cold air bit at his skin, but the base was warm inside. Solari showed him the control room. You can use this to repair the ship and hide. Looked around. Old machinery hummed quietly, powered by ancient reactors. This will work, he said, but the quiet was broken again. As they repaired the ship, a loud explosion shook the base. Jack ran outside to see patrol walkers advancing over the snowy plains. We're surrounded, Jack said. They found us. Solari moved quickly, grabbing a small bag from her belt. I will fight, Jack smiled sadly. We fight together. And the battle began. Jack fired his pulse rifle, taking down patrol drones as they approached. Solari used her alien stealth gear, moving like a shadow and striking from the darkness. Vina watched from inside, clutching the stuffed toy and praying silently. The patrol walkers fired lasers and missiles. Jack dodged, firing back with his weapon and throwing EMP grenades. Solari climbed a rocky ledge, setting traps with alien devices that emitted blinding light and sharp energy bursts. Jack was hit by a blast to the leg. He fell, gritting his teeth. Against the pain, Solari ran to him, pulling out a small alien med kit. She pressed strange glowing patches to his wound. Hold still, she whispered. Jack looked at her, feeling a strange warmth. We will survive this, she said firmly. Jack nodded. The patrol forces were pushed back but not defeated. They regrouped. Preparing for a final assault, Jack knew they could not hold the base forever. He helped Solari and Vina into the ship. We leave now, he said. Solari looked back at the battlefield. This isn't over. Jack closed the hatch. No, but we're alive. The ship lifted off, engines roaring. The patrol walkers fired behind them, but the ship disappeared into the cold black sky. Jack looked at Solari and Vina. We will. Find a place to live. A place where no one has to beg or fight. Solari smiled. A family. Vina reached up, holding their hands. Together, they flew into the unknown, hoping for peace in the stars. The stars stretched endless around their small ship as it glided quietly through space. Jack sat at the controls, his hands steady, but his mind full of questions. Beside him, Solari watched the glowing screens, her eyes bright with hope. Between them, little Vina played with a small toy ship, her laughter soft and happy. They had escaped the hunters, the war, and the cold farms. Now they were free, but their future was still unknown. Jack took a deep breath and looked at Solari. We've run far, he said, but we can't run forever. Need a home. Solari nodded slowly. There is a place, a world where the Galactic Council does not reach, where no one cares about humans or Volari. Jack raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a dream. Solari smiled. Maybe, but it's real. She tapped a few buttons, bringing up a star map. Far beyond the known systems, past the edges of mapped space, was a quiet green-blue planet. No patrols, just silence. That's where we go, Solari said. The ship changed course. For days they traveled in silence. Jack spent time fixing the ship's engines. Solari prepared food in the small kitchen area, using recipes from both Earth and her home world. Vina grew stronger, her eyes brightening with each new day. One evening, as they floated near a small star, Vina climbed onto Jack's lap. Doc, she said softly, using the words she had taught him. Jack smiled and hugged her gently. That's right. I'm your doc. Solari watched them with a warm smile. feeling something new, a quiet peace inside her heart. But the galaxy was not done testing them as they neared their destination. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. "Warning!" Solari shouted. "Sensors show a large fleet approaching." Jack grabbed the controls, scanning the view. Through the viewport, he saw a massive armada of ships and known ships, heavily armed, moving fast. "Who are they?" Jack asked. Solari shook her head. "Unknown. But they are not friendly." The ships opened fire, bright beams cutting through the darkness. Jack dodged the first blast, twisting the ship sharply. "Shields failing," Solari called out. Jack gritted his teeth and pushed the engines harder. "We can't fight them," he said. "We need to hide." Solari tapped the console. "It is a nearby nebula-dense gas clouds. We can hide there." "Do it." The ship dove into the swirling colors of the nebula. Gas and particles blurred the sensors of their pursuers. Inside the nebula, the ship was safe for now. Jack and Solari worked together to repair the shields and boost the engines. Vina sat, quietly holding her parents' hands tightly. Hours passed. The armada waited outside the nebula, scanning but unable to find them. Jack looked at Solari. "We can't stay hidden forever." Solari agreed. "We must be ready. They find us. We fight together." Jack smiled. Together. The ship slipped out of the nebula under cover of darkness. Suddenly, the armada opened fire again. Jack fired back with the ship's energy pulses, weak but enough to slow the enemy. Solari operated the stealth systems, making the ship flicker and disappear for moments. The battle was fierce and long. Just when it seemed they would be overwhelmed, the ship's engines roared louder. Solari's alien tech pushed the ship beyond its limits. "Blink drive ready," she shouted. Jack didn't hesitate. He pushed the button in a flash. They were gone far from the fleet and into unknown space. They floated silently. Jack exhaled deeply. Solari smiled at him. "We made it." Vina looked out the window and smiled too. Jack reached over and took Solari's hand. "We are a family," he said quietly. Solari squeezed his hand. "No matter what, we survive." After days of travel, the green-blue planet came into view. It was beautiful oceans, forests, and mountains untouched by war. Jack landed the ship near a quiet beach. They stepped outside. Feeling the soft breeze and warm sun, Vina ran toward the water. Laughing, Jack and Solari looked at each other, hope shining in their eyes. That night they built a small home near the shore. Solari cooked a meal from both their worlds. The smells filled the air, mixing with the salt and pine. Jack smiled as Vina ate happily. "We're safe," he said. Solari nodded. For now. Days turned into weeks. They explored the planet, finding food and fresh water. Jack fixed the ship, making sure it was ready in case danger came again. But for the first time in a long time, they felt peace. Vina grew stronger and healthier. Solari and Jack grew closer friends, partners and family. One evening, as the sun set, Jack sat by the fire with Solari. "Do you think the galaxy will find us here?" he asked. Solari shook her head. "No, this place is hidden. Even the Galactic Council will forget." Jack smiled. "Then this is home." Solari looked at Vina, who was sleeping nearby. "A home where no one has to beg for food," she said. Softly, Jack nodded. "Where we all belong." Under the stars, they made a promise, no matter what came next. They would protect each other. They would be a family, human, alien, and child. Together. They would survive. And one day, maybe, they would find others like them.